it's been reported now that the Secret Service has figured out how they're going to resume outdoor rallies for Donald Trump in the wake of the assassination attempt. Apparently, they're going to surround his podium with bulletproof glass. Now, this came up in the wake of the assassination. Somebody had tweeted out, and I don't remember who it was, and they may have tweeted at me. They're like, look into this, because they're insisting on having all of these campaign rallies outdoors. And part of the reason is because they stiffed all of these indoor venues in 2020. And now people should understand, this is a big country, but if you are campaigning for president right now, all of us here could list off the 8-10 states that are going to be absolutely fundamental to this. You may go there to support a Senate candidate here, or you may go chase some money out there, but you got to go to North Carolina, you got to go to Georgia, you got to go to Arizona, you got to go to Nevada, you got to go to Pennsylvania, you got to go to Michigan, you got to go to Wisconsin. There may be one or two other states that you're going to, that are key, but these are the states that you're going to go to in this election. It may depend on whether your strategy is going to be Rust Belt or not. And then you also know that within these states, there are certain locations and counties that are absolutely crucial. And so you'll go to them. And there's only so many venues. And so I read that, and, because apparently, and Emma, you were telling me this, that there was during the hearings or something like that, that a congressperson there, you saw reporting, said, do not go to this location. It is too dangerous. It's just, you can't, it's just tough.
That definitely wasn't me, but maybe someone else told you that.
Someone had mentioned to me that was out there. And so then I saw this story about 3 or 4 days ago in Newsweek. Former President Donald Trump's campaign was forced to pay more than $82,000 in advance for this week's rally in Asheville, North Carolina. City of Asheville spokesperson Kim Miller told BPR, I guess that's an outfit, that the $225,000 of the amount paid is a 2-day rental fee for the auditorium, while the remainder of funds go to cover additional costs, et cetera, et cetera. But the campaign paid in advance due to Asheville's policy for short notice bookings. But Trump has a long history of failing to pay cities for billed rally fees.
No.
Leaving the White House in January 21 with at least $850,000 in unpaid rally debt. Most of the bills are still unpaid. And so I think basically he can't get into these venues. Now, we don't even know in the context of maybe if there's more private rally fees. I mean, these are cities for rally fees. He's probably stiffed a bunch of venues too.
Absolutely.
And now they're basically saying that we need to hold these rallies outside. And so the Secret Service has to protect them. But that, I think, is because it costs a lot more money to rent a venue than it would. We're going to just go to the fairgrounds. And
let me also add, too, there's another wrinkle where he's obsessed with Kamala Harris's crowd size. And if you're in an arena that she's been to, and this was a little bit, they're having, I think that he was at that same Georgia arena where she had her launch with Megan Thee Stallion and all them. People were saying how there were way more empty seats and she filled up the entire stadium. That's the other thing. I think he doesn't like the visual of not having full crowd sizes. So he's saving money by doing campaign events at his own golf courses in New Jersey. Specifically, this one is the Bedminster one in New Jersey. Do you think that's a winning campaign strategy, Sam?
I think that is a strategy to put as much money in your pocket and to, every single move he has made in his campaign so far has been about getting cash. J.D. Vance, really, look, it's early in the campaign. Well, it's not that early, but, we still got 3 big months. Well, really, actually 2 big months for the campaign, right? September and October are the big campaign months, and this might turn around. But so far, J.D. Vance in the modern era, Spiro Agnew was a problem. Eagleton turned out didn't work out so well for.
But just to
McGovern.
remind people on Spiro Agnew that Nixon chose him so that there would be a worse person beneath him on the ticket, so that Nixon couldn't
He did
be
it on
impeached.
purpose. He did it on purpose. He did it on purpose. But
Insurance.
but J.D. Vance in like a more modern era, at least in the past, let's say 40 years, at least at this point. And it's important, I think there's a lot of value, and I want to, dance around. There's a lot of value in being a superlative. The worst vice presidential pick, at least in terms of every metric.
At least in those terms.
Favorability, in terms of what he can deliver, in terms of states, in
Social
terms of
media
output, what he's adding to the ticket. I mean,
Vibes.
how much he's disliked by the top of the ticket. I mean, we didn't hear stories about McCain disparaging Sarah Palin until after the election. We're already hearing stories of they're not calling me crazy, they're calling him crazy.
Or weird. Yeah.
Weird. Yeah. All right. Let's pick up this Trump press conference in New Jersey. Let's just start with his blatant lies, but also, impossible things like
Math?
there being more than 100% of anything. This is clip number 1.
The next period of time, it could be a substantial time. Since March of 2022, the average middle-class household has lost $33,000 in wealth. How about that? $33,000. That's average. In July alone, 350,000 people were added to the unemployment rolls. It's a lot of people. 350,000 people added to the unemployment rolls. And think of that. That's in 1 month. That's in July. Virtually 100% of the net job creation in the last year has gone to migrants. You know that? Most of the job creation has gone to migrants. In fact, I've heard that substantially more than beyond the number of 100%. It's a much higher number than that, but the government hasn't caught up with that yet. But virtually right now, as of the time they did this, virtually 100% of the net job creation in the last year has gone to migrants. Harris gave work permits and Social Security numbers to more than 3 million illegal immigrants to steal jobs from Americans. So think of that. And, they're having a lot of problems with Social Security. I'm going to be the one to save Social Security, but they're having a lot of problems with Social Security because under their system of putting all of these people into it, it's going to blow up and fail. If she's elected, Social Security will fail. It'll be a blow up like you've never seen before. It'll be a bankruptcy of the entire system, probably the nation itself.
Probably the nation.
All right,
itself.
let's start with the low-hanging fruit here.
He's so lazy right now.
You can't have more than 100% of job creation going to immigrants because that's not the way that percentages work. And there's no more jobs beyond the number of jobs that there are. That is static. And if they're taking all the jobs, they can't take more than all the new created jobs. There's only so many, and so that would be impossible. The other thing is
they're creating secret jobs and not putting them in the economic numbers so that they can conceal the fact.
That may actually be what he's trying to say. That
No, he's trying to say that the job numbers are fake, and the ones that we have, the ones that are being released, you should discount them because 100% of them have gone to migrants, but there are hidden jobs that are also going to migrants.
That they don't want to take credit for.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Fair. I will also say that if you take an undocumented immigrant and you put them into the Social Security system, what they do is they pay in to the system. And then when they are of retirement age, because they're undocumented, they do not take out of the system. or because the many immigrants go back to their home country after making enough money, they don't ever even contemplate collecting Social Security. So, in fact, there has been just an incredible amount of research on this. Immigrant labor, undocumented immigrant labor, actually bolsts Social Security. That is just the reality of it.
But do you think that Harris is giving out Social Security numbers to migrants? I mean, how do you think that would work out?
She's probably doing it on the side to make extra money.
That makes sense.
A lot of times, if you have access to that, you'll sell Social Security cards on the side. If you're running for president, it's the way you finance it's
That's
merch.
how it's like. That's what you do with Cedar Seeds.
It's merch and selling Social Security cards, but they're fake cards, and so the people pay in, but they don't actually take the money out.
No, that's not what he's saying. He's saying there are real cards, real numbers. This could be the other way that they bring abortion into the situation, because you know that Democrats are aborting babies in the 9th and sometimes even 10th month. Like, there's a whole cadre of leftist women who are going through pregnancy and people who can get pregnant, so that they can gain a lot of weight. Their hormones go all over the place. They spend a ton of money on doctor's visits, and then they have, just for our personal satisfaction, the baby comes out executed by the doctor. Then you take the Social Security number for the baby and you give it to the migrant.
Oh, that's that makes a lot more sense.
She just admitted it.
Clip it. He seems a little low energy on this, and he seems like almost like to barely care about anything he's saying there, in a way that he just doesn't get his juices going when he's not in front of a crowd. Somebody suggested to me, and I don't think this is the case, although I found it intriguing, and he seems not to be slurring his words there, or he seems to have gotten over his lisp. But you can have like little incidents that happen and can give you a little bit, like little, I don't know, mini strokes, and you get a lisp or something. It's something you can work through very quickly. But
he didn't have his Diet Coke that day.
He could have been just like, so late last night. So here is Donald Trump. This is one of those things where it's like, oh, if only. I wish Donald Trump was not just commentating on this, but actually in charge of making this happen. Kamala Harris is, I should just say, and maybe this doesn't need to be said, but I think it's important that we do. It turns out she's not a communist.
Are you sure?
Sorry to let down. Well, I don't know. Let's check in with Donald Trump.
Massively raising your taxes. She wants to take away your private health care. There are many people.
Pause it for 1 second. Could you go back? Like, he just seems so bored by this. Mm-hmm. Like, honestly,
there's no crowd to feed off of.
No.
He's massively cutting your taxes. Well, that doesn't seem like, I mean, he's presenting it as if it's not that big of a deal.
He should have some of that Folgers that's right next to him.
Oh, incidentally, did he ever get to the food? Or is that just like, he let all that, like, that meat?
I think it's a grocery prop.
Oh, there's bacon and Folgers and like deli meat.
Oh my God.
Rationing and deadly wait times, well, massively raising your taxes. She wants to take away your private health care. There are many people in this country who spend a lot of money on private health care. It's the best health care in the world, by the way. But they want to do it. They worked hard to make money, and they want to do it. Under her, you're not going to have private health care plans anymore.
Can we just stop there and just enjoy? He seems so uninterested that he can't even riff on this. Like, people spending a lot of money on private health care
because they love it.
Because they want to.
Well, I guess
a lot of money on healthcare.
Yeah, but then he says, well, what do you got to do? Like, people make a lot of money and you got to let them do it. So he's saying Americans spend a lot of money on healthcare, but because it's the best healthcare in the world, and the insurers, they have to do it because they want to make money. Winning message.
In this country, who spend a lot of money on private health care. It's the best health care in the world, by the way. But they want to do it. They worked hard to make money, and they want to do it. Under her, you're not going to have private health care plans anymore. And you can be a wealthy person or a middle-income person, and you want to spend on a really good plan, better than a government plan could be, far better. And you're not going to be allowed. You're all going to be thrown into a communist system. It's a communist system. You're going to be thrown into a system where everybody gets health care. You wait for your doctor like 10 months, 12 months, 11 months. You got to see some of these plans, how they work in other countries. It's disgraceful. So private health care is gone. She wants it out. Now, she could change on that, and she might change on that. She's changed on everything, but I said, why are you changing? I actually was asking somebody that knows her, why is she changing? She had these policies and ideas for years and years and years, and very solid on them. All you have to do is go back and look at your tapes, which many have been discarded because they don't want, discarded by the fake news, because they don't want people to see what she said just a year ago and 2 years ago. I've never seen anything like it.
I've never even seen it because they discarded it because
this might be a little bit of projection, because I think if you search Trump tapes, wasn't there like a whole bunch of like recordings from his apprentice years that people were worried were going to leak out? Like,
they never leaked those out. I don't think.
Never got leaked out. I hope they never do. Let's just say
they
that.
never do.
He's not really helping himself on the age question by not understanding the concept of digitizing media and thinking that the media can destroy the tapes of Kamala's previous positions within the last 2 years, and we're not going to be able to figure that out. All the tapes.
I mean, when he gave that first press conference, I understood why they were doing it, because they wanted to highlight that Kamala Harris had not had any press conferences. It didn't really work. It just sort of like made everybody realize, like, oh my God, he really is the old guy in the campaign now. And for the life of me, I have no idea what they're trying to do here. I mean, I have no idea. Like, I'm aware that he has, but are they thinking like we want to put him out there to show people on the fence that he's not going to be crazy like he was last time? And all it is he's crazy, but it's low energy. He's boring and crazy now.
I think it's more just like that. First, they think that they can hit her on the economy because of the inflation numbers, and because, yes, inflation has reduced a lot over the past few months. Like it's eased quite a bit, but there are a lot of things that are still really expensive, like groceries because of price gouging, and of course rent and housing is just out of control. So they think that's a weakness. But then they also think it's a weakness that she's flip-flopped, which I would agree is a weakness. The fact that she supported Medicare for all, then ran for president and walked that back, supported the Green New Deal, ran for president and walked that back. But he can't. So they want to make it about policy. That's the thing. That's where they feel like they can gain, right? Because he's not offering anything new. He's still the same Trump. This is his third presidential run. God help us.
Pocketbook issues.
But he can't stay on message. First of all, they have nothing to offer, right? So what her flip-flopping matters very little then when both the positions that she has flopped towards are superior and more both positions, if she's pro-Green New Deal and then now, she's against like a fracking ban, those are at least positions. What is their position on anything? Because you can't hit someone for flip-flopping if you have no position on the other side.
That's the point. Is that that is exactly the point. When they hit John Kerry for flip-flopping on the war, he was for the war before he was against it. Was the phrase, and then they just sort of like that metastasized into a flip-flop, and that becomes the narrative, and then they try and fit anything into that narrative, and they find one decision here, or he said one thing and he corrects it here, and it fits into that narrative. It's very, very hard to create this narrative within a month or 2 months or 3 months. I mean, it's very, very, very hard to do it, and they clearly had no plan to do it, which was also sort of shocking in and of itself. And yes, his message, his inability to deliver a disciplined message also harms that. But the last point is the real point. In 2004, when John Kerry ran and they deployed this flip-flop behind him, the argument was that he has no attachment to a policy or an ideology. And Donald Trump has so blown up the notion that you need that within the context of the Republican Party. It really just is about how you identify. I'm a gun owner. I'm an evangelical. I'm not a lib. I mean, I'm not woke. Get rid of pronouns. None of these things are policies. They're all identity, the most actually superficial of identity politics. And that is the way that the Trump campaign has generated its support. They just can't get, they can't get, you can't say she's a communist, but she could also be a super capitalist tomorrow. Like it doesn't scare people in the same fashion.
Right.
It's crazy. Let's get to, let's just do number 4, one more clip, and then we'll get to number 6.
Right. Because in this vein, this is relevant to what you're saying, right? Like about how they don't have a hook in terms of anything policy wise, even though that's what the Times is reporting. Kellyanne Conway has been brought back into the fold, and she's begging Trump to stick to policy attacks. She went on Fox News to do that too, because it seems like he's not listening, right? But they're
that's what like Kevin McCarthy was saying the other day, and they also had who else? We played another clip of somebody who was saying the same thing. This whole notion that like Nikki Haley was criticizing him for and they must know that that's what he has. There is no other like thing there, and now he's pissed because this is the best part. He's responding to a question from the press about name calling, but this is like his sort of passive aggressive way of telling his advisors, like, this is not fair. It's literally, he's talking to daddy right now.
Yep.
Daddy's not letting me do this, and it's not fair. Go ahead.
Mr. President, many of your allies who want you to win in November say your current strategy isn't working, that you need to stop with the personal attacks on Kamala Harris and deliver a more disciplined message. Do you agree?
I'm sorry, can we just go back a sec? Did you see his reaction to that question with his little shrug here? That got me.
Go back.
Just go back.
He is so annoyed by this.
Yeah, sure.
Say your current strategy isn't working, that you need to stop with the personal attacks on Kamala Harris and deliver a more disciplined message. Do you agree? And also, you added more people to your campaign today. Yeah. Is that a sign of a shifting strategy?
No, I think it's a sign of we want to close it out. We have great people. Susie's fantastic, as you know, and Chris is fantastic. They're leading it.
Closing it out.
Corey Lewandowski's coming in. He'll be
He's going to twist some arms.
Personal envoy, or he'll be at some level. They're going to be, they're doing a great job.
I keep getting stuck on this. Corey Lewandowski is a personal envoy to whom? Like, is he a person? Like, it sounds like he's like, I don't want to talk to the campaign people, so I'll have Corey talk to them, and then Corey will talk to me about it.
Right. He's the muscle.
Chris Christie. I sent Chris Christie out for Big Mac, and he never came back. So now I got Corey Lewandowski to be my personal advocate.
He'll be, personal envoy, or he'll be at some level. They're going to be, they're doing a great job. Look, we've taken, with all of the abuse we've taken from the fake news media, all of this horrific abuse we take. And all I want to do is make the country good. All I want to do is have strong borders and good education. We want to have choice for education. So important. So many different things. You would think it would be the other way. We rebuilt the military. We did so many great things. But that's the way it's been for Republicans, and I guess more so for me than anybody in history. And that's okay, because we're leading in the polls. For the most part, we're leading in the polls. We were leading Biden by a lot we're leading now, but I think when she's exposed, I think we're going to beat her by a lot more than we would have beaten Biden by, because he had a little group of people that have been voting for him for a long time. She doesn't have that. People don't know who she is. As far as the personal attacks,
I mean,
because of what she's.
This video freezes for some reason, but
okay, keep going.
He keeps going, yeah.
Done to the country. I'm very angry at her that she'd weaponized the justice system against me and other people. Very angry at her. I think I'm entitled to personal attacks. I don't have a lot of respect for her. I don't have a lot of respect for her intelligence, and I think she'll be a terrible president. And I think it's very important that we win. And whether the personal attacks are good, bad, I mean, she certainly attacks me personally. She actually called me weird. He's weird. It was just a soundbite. And she called JD and I weird. He's not weird. He was a great student at Yale. He went to Ohio State, graduated in 2 years at the top of his class, and all of these different things. And we have this guy that's running a very failed state, who's had a terrible career. I mean, you have him saying they're weird. No, he's a weird guy. And she's weird in her policy. Who would...
Oh, there we go. I got the policy. Did you hear me criticize the policy? I said it was weird. I mean, first off,
he's a nice boy. Went to Yale.
This guy cannot get past that they switched Biden out. He cannot get past it.
I know. It's
he
amazing.
cannot get past it. And he is just so... first off, this is the only time he gets animated during this entire press conference. He looks like you got to like check his pulse. And the only time that he gets animated is that he's so angry at what has gone on. Completely unfair. Totally, completely unfair. I'm not weird. She's weird. JD's not weird. That other guy, he's weird. Like that failed state. Minnesota's a failed state. He's weird. Yeah.
I like the idea that he's not weird because he went to Yale University. Like, again,
weird people don't go to Yale.
It's just leaking through how he can't appeal to like the everyman in the way that he tried to posture like that he could before. It's all about, I know this guy. Like, I listened to this whole thing last night, and then I listened to his whole anti-Semitism speech as well, where he spends the first 20 minutes like glad handing and shouting out different people in the crowd. And it's all about who he knows in his little, like, very wealthy, hermetically sealed circle. And he's just completely out of touch, and he can't even gesture towards being in touch because he thinks like the average person is going to say JD's not weird, he went to Yale, and that's going to satisfy them. No.
He tried to go to policy, and he's like, we have expensive healthcare in this country. It's because people work really hard. They love to spend it on healthcare.
Right.
That's him trying to do policy.
I'm weird. They say I'm weird. Oh, God, does that drive him crazy?
It does, yeah.
Hey, folks, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and check out our daily show. We do it every day at 12 p.m. Eastern for about 2.5 hours. We even take phone calls. You should check that out.